I will talk about the only thing I know about, which is not economics or politics, but words and language. I learned from Bill Coffin the power of speech, that speech can become event. The power of language, and I think largely due to his influence, embarked myself on a life of the love of language exercised in the church. If I talk about changes, since those days, it would have to do with the area of information glut, with the way in which so much of the language that comes at us these days is disembodied language, language divorced from physical reality, from ordinary experience. It is often disheartening language. It is language that seeks to define reality for us in ways that leave hope a very narrow margin in which to operate. Language that is chiefly after our pocketbooks, after making a profit off of us. So that I see those changes and find myself in the position of a preacher who thinks that the way forward for prophetic ministry may have less to do with talk than with breaking jars and eating scrolls and things like that. I'm interested in re-embodying the word. I heard a wonderful address on the part of my colleague at Columbia Seminary, Chuck Campbell. It was his inaugural address in the Peter Marshall Chair of Homiletics there. The joke at Columbia is he is a man called Chuck. But his remarkable inaugural lecture was called "The Preacher as Ridiculous Person, Naked Street Preaching and Homiletical Foolishness." And he let us know within 5 minutes of beginning the lecture that he meant literal nakedness. He cited Basil the Blessed of Moscow, who preached naked in the streets of Moscow. The Old Testament lection for that service was from Isaiah. I was not aware Isaiah preached naked for almost 3 years. But the image that Chuck held before us was the image of the homiletician who literally or metaphorically strips to expose the false hierarchies of religious privilege, denominational privilege, but more specifically, who strips and speaks in order to expose all the ways that power and the language of faith are wedded to the peril of the language of faith. Both Basil's predecessor being Jesus naked on the cross as a judgment of the powers that put him to death. So as I reimagine the preaching task, I would put it under the heading of the re-embodiment of the word, that the word proclaimed in places like this is a word made flesh, and disconnected, disembodied words won't cut it anymore. So I'm looking for more naked street preaching.